You enjoy people. You genuinely do. You like meaningful conversations. You appreciate your friends. You value connection. But after a few hours of socializing, something happens. Your energy starts to drain. Your patience thins. And there is a quiet voice inside you that says, "Please, I just need to be alone." So you leave early, or you cancel plans, or you sit in your car for 20 minutes before going inside because you need that buffer. And then someone calls you antisocial or distant, or asks why you never want to hang out anymore, and you wonder if something is wrong with you. But what if nothing is wrong? What if your brain is simply wired to recover in solitude the same way other brains recover in crowds? What if the real problem is not that you need alone time, but that you have been made to feel guilty for needing it? Today, we are going to look at the actual neuroscience of why some people need solitude to function. We are going to separate introversion from social anxiety, and by the end, you might realize that protecting your alone time is not selfish, it is survival. Let us start with what is actually happening in your brain. In the early 2000s, a researcher named Marty Olson-Laney conducted brain imaging studies comparing introverts and extroverts. What she found changed how we understand social energy. Extroverts and introverts use different dominant neurotransmitter pathways. Extroverts rely heavily on the dopamine pathway. Dopamine is the reward chemical. It gets released when you experience something exciting or novel. For extroverts, social interaction triggers this pathway. People literally give them energy. They leave a party feeling more alive than when they arrived. Introverts rely more on the acetylcholine pathway. Acetylcholine is associated with a calm, focused, inward state. It gets released during deep thinking, reflection, and quiet activities. This is why solitude does not feel boring to you. It feels like coming home. This is not a choice. This is chemistry. And there is another piece. Introverts show more blood flow to regions of the brain involved in internal processing. When you are at a social event, your brain is doing more work than the extrovert standing next to you. You are analyzing tone, reading facial expressions, tracking multiple conversations, thinking about what you should say next. It's like running 10 programs at once while everyone else is running 2. No wonder you are exhausted. But here is where people get confused. They assume that needing alone time means you have social anxiety. They think you are avoiding people because you were scared of them. So let us make an important distinction. Social anxiety is fear-based. It is the dread of being judged or humiliated. It makes you avoid social situations because you are afraid something bad will happen. Introversion is energy-based. It has nothing to do with fear. You can be perfectly confident and charismatic. You can enjoy socializing while you're doing it, but afterward, you need to recover. You are not running from danger, you are returning to your natural habitat. These two things can overlap, but they are not the same. And treating introversion like a disorder is like treating left-handedness like a disease. It's not something to cure, it's something to understand. Now, let us talk about why society gets this so wrong. We live in what Susan Cain calls an extrovert ideal culture. Our schools reward the kids who raise their hands the most. Our workplaces promote the loudest voices in the room. Our social norms assume that a Good Friday night means being surrounded by people. If you would rather stay home with a book, something must be wrong with you. This bias is everywhere. Open office plans, mandatory team building, networking events, group projects. The message is constant. Being around people is good. Being alone is suspicious. But here's what that bias ignores. Solitude is not the same as loneliness. Loneliness is the feeling that you are disconnected from others when you want connection. Solitude is the choice to be alone because you need space. One is painful, the other is restorative. They are opposites. When you shame someone for needing solitude, you are not helping them. You are draining them even faster. And there is another layer. Many people who crave solitude are also what psychologist Elaine Aron calls highly sensitive people. They have nervous systems that process stimuli more deeply. This means they notice more, they feel more, and social environments, which are filled with noise and faces and unpredictable inputs, can overwhelm them quickly. This is not weakness. This is a nervous system doing its job thoroughly, but it comes with a cost, and that cost is energy. So what are the actual advantages of being wired this way? The first is depth over breadth. People who need solitude tend to build fewer but deeper relationships. They are not interested in collecting acquaintances. They want meaningful connection. And because they are selective, the connections they do form are often richer and more lasting. The second is creativity. Throughout history, most creative breakthroughs have come in moments of solitude. Writing, composing, inventing. These activities require uninterrupted internal focus. Your need for alone time is not a barrier to creativity. It is the condition for it. The third is self-awareness. When you spend time alone, you are forced to sit with yourself. You notice your thoughts. You process your emotions. You develop a relationship with your own inner world that many people never build because they are constantly surrounded by noise. The fourth is listening. Because you are not racing to fill silence, you tend to be a better listener. You give others space to express themselves, and that makes you a more trusted friend, partner, and colleague. These are not small gifts, but they only flourish if you protect the conditions they require. So, how do you actually protect your solitude without destroying your relationships or feeling guilty? The first strategy is building restorative niches. A restorative niche is a space or time that allows you to recover during otherwise draining situations. Maybe it is a quiet corner at a party, a walk around the block between meetings, a few minutes alone in your car before going inside. These micro-recoveries are not luxuries, they are maintenance. The second strategy is communicating your needs without apologizing. Most extroverts do not understand your experience. They genuinely think you do not like them. So instead of disappearing or making excuses, explain. Tell them you enjoy their company and you also need time to recharge. Use the language of energy, not rejection. The third strategy is scheduling recovery time. If you have a big social event on Saturday, do not plan another one on Sunday. Treat your social calendar like a budget. You only have so much to spend, and if you overdraw, you will pay for it with exhaustion, irritability, or even getting sick. The fourth strategy is releasing the guilt. This is the hardest one. You've been told your whole life that wanting to be alone is weird, that you should be more outgoing, that solitude means you're missing out. But guilt is just internalized social pressure. It is not truth. Your need for alone time is not a flaw. It is a feature, and defending it is not selfish. It is wise. Now let us zoom out. For most of your life, you have probably felt like something was slightly off, like you were operating on different settings than everyone around you, like you had to push yourself to keep up with social expectations that came naturally to others. But those expectations were not designed for you. They were designed by and for people whose brains are wired differently. You have been playing by rules that were never meant to be yours, and the exhaustion you feel is not a sign that you are broken. It is a sign that you have been forcing yourself into shapes that do not fit. So stop forcing. You do not need to become an extrovert. You do not need to love parties. You do not need to feel guilty for leaving early or saying no. You just need to understand how your brain works and build a life that respects it. Because solitude is not where you hide from the world, it is where you gather the strength to meet it. You like people, you just need time away from them to remember that. And that is not antisocial, that is architecture. If this resonated with you, you might also find value in our video on why sensitive people are not weak. It explores another side of how deep processing shapes your life. You can find it right here. Thanks for watching.